The Delkatla Wildlife Sanctuary on the northeast coast of Haida Gwaii is an ancient, beautiful, and environmentally critical area for birds and wildlife. Two remarkable people, Margot Hearn and Peter Hamill, have devoted a large part of their lives to restoring and protecting this area, one of the most important estuaries of the Pacific Flyway. They have been crucial to addressing the biggest issue of the estuary, involving its very survival.
When the causeway went in 1964, it blocked the estuary from free-flowing tidal water.
The natural way of this is to be a saltwater, lower coastal wetland, and it was not. It was losing its status, really. It was losing its integrity as a lower coastal wetland. And lower coastal wetlands are so critical to the Pacific coast, because only 3% of the BC coast is lower coastal wetland. Well, we had to convince people that this needed to be restored, and that took a long time. We began to build very slowly to convince people that the restoration of this area was critical to the survival of the many waterfowl that moved down through the Pacific Flyway, the offshore Pacific Flyway.
How much money did you raise in Masset alone?
In Masset alone, we probably raised in the region of about $50,000 locally. And once the funders began to see that the local people had actually supported us as well, then that became a foundation that they could jump from to say, oh, it's just not some airy-fairy thing out there. People do actually believe in it. When we put the funding in to restore the wildlife sanctuary, there's a list of all the people who actually donated, of all the organizations. We got some international funding also from the joint venture funds.
The Delkatla marsh near Masset has been slowly dying ever since a causeway was built across it 30 years ago. It's considered the second most important staging ground for migratory birds on the west coast. But culverts built across the marsh didn't work and the bird numbers were dropping. Now that's all changed.
The new tidal water started to come into Delkatla on the 14th of February, 1994.
There was this narrow channel through, and he went down and scooped out the last of the muck.
And we're standing there in the cold. There was, well, you know, 10 or 15 of us. And I just looked up the hill, and over the hill was this whole stream of children coming down. It was like fabulous. It was like a story. All these kids coming from Tahagan, coming down to watch the breach. It was really quite remarkable.
Margot, Peter, and their board members continue to be dedicated stewards of the Delkatla Wildlife Sanctuary. While the biggest threat has been addressed, the health of the estuary and wildlife is compromised by urban and agricultural encroachment. At the same time, educational opportunities are increasing. The Delkatla Nature Center was built to educate people about the importance of the estuary and its history. It is open regular hours for visitors who come from all over the world. It also provides an important venue for the Society's events, such as art shows, community events, nature walks, and meetings. The Delkatla Sanctuary Society relies on interested and devoted funding partners to carry on this work. For the past 3 years, Stewardship Works, a core funding pilot program, enabled the Society to pay for a wide range of items that would have otherwise been difficult to cover with their usual sources of project funding. These items, however, are necessary for those projects to take place.
You do need a basic amount of funds, and Stewardship Works have helped with getting this little electric boiler in here. So we really appreciate Stewardship Works and their assistance and their help for us. There's no doubt about it.
But the contributions of Margot and Peter have been and continue to be significant. With the huge undertaking of fundraising and managing the construction of a bridge to restore important habitat for West Coast birds, building a center to honor that legacy, and continuing with their education and advocacy activities, the people of BC are lucky to have such dedicated stewards in these remote places.